We'll have to
right.
retreat.
I call to order the People's Court of Westeros. Shut up. The People's Court of Westeros. That's what he did. The People's Court of Westeros. I am the Honorable Judge Olenna Tyrell presiding. Now, Judge Peter Bailiff cannot be with us. Last time he brought a club, so I have brought a whip to keep you guys in shape, to keep these two in shape. And I believe that sounds like a good time. Anyway, so
objection! You cannot get gifts from the audience.
That was not an audience. Because he left.
Yeah, that's true. Thank you.
You're welcome. He's a bailiff. He's left the audience room. The court. He's left the court. All right. So we have two opposing views today. We've got you representing the Night's Watch. And we have you representing. No, I'm sorry. Wait, no.
Yes,
The Night's Watch. Yes. Sorry, I was thinking. And then also you representing the Kingsguard.
There you go.
All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to allow them both to state their cases, and then we're going to open it up to the people of Westeros and allow you to discuss, and then ultimately I will make my ruling. You may or may not change my mind, who knows, because I'm going into this, I don't care. All right,
How dare you not care?
objections?
Yeah, to that.
Objections. If you say objection,
You have to defend what you're
Yes.
objecting
Yes.
to, but you can. So the big deal is it's audience participation in that if, perchance, you have an objection to what's being argued between Kara and myself, or even a ruling, you can make an objection, back it up. Thank you so much. Wow, I'm just really.
Objection? That was absolutely a gift from the audience.
Objection, double fist.
Anyways, objections can be made, but please back them up.
also there's going to be no screaming, yelling at each other, yelling at the lawyers, yelling at me. There will be yelling, but I will tell you to stop. Don't stop. Anyway, all right, let's go ahead and get started. Sorry, this is my first time being a judge. It's technically my second time. The first time I don't know. Doing a good job. Thank you.
The first time I was a cat.
The
So.
first time I was a cat. Yes. First time I was a cat. Somebody bring me some cheese. You know, I want to ask for cheese. God damn it.
Yeah.
You guys
I
suck.
got you.
Yeah,
It's
it's too early in the weekend for everybody to be so tired. Come on, guys, liven it up a little.
Start drinking. I can't drink, so you guys have to drink for me.
That is an order?
That is an order. I cannot drink. I will be drinking anyway, but I cannot. I'm not supposed to. All right. Oh, awesome. You guys are late. All right, we're vibing. Okay, cool. Come in, sit down. You're late. You're late. Come on, sit down. Let's go. Come on.
I feel like courtroom doors are normally locked and people can't come in late.
No, they come in all the time.
I know.
Sit in the gallery.
Except for, well, I don't know, maybe not in King's Landing.
Olenna doesn't give a shit. She's just here for the people.
Okay, so
Opening arguments, is that what you want?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for leading me. Opening arguments. All right, we're going to go ahead and go with the Night's Watch.
Wow,
they
thank
did
you.
it first.
Thank you. This is the first time we've ever been put first in Westeros, so we really appreciate that. Now, I would like to say that in a Night's Watch versus Kingsguard case, both of these are man-made teams of people, right, to fight man-made threats, if you will. However, Kingsguard seems to get status, right, for what they do, sitting around their enameled polished scales, but what they do in King's Landing or in Flea Bottom on tax dollars paid by the people, they get to do all that. The Night's Watch gets to stay in the cold, at the wall, laboring, keep Westeros safe from the things that people in the Kingsguard might want to put beyond the wall. And I will say as I close my opening statement on why the Kingsguard is, that's a technical term, why the Kingsguard is that. Their own Lord Commander, Your Honor, said that the Kingsguard is no longer good. Their own Lord Commander, Jaime Lannister, Lord Commander of the Kingsguard for Tommen One Baratheon, our king of Westeros, depending where you are.
Objection.
You be quiet. You be quiet. He's gonna be my grandson. Continue.
You know, the quote actually is that the duties are keeping the king alive. How many monarchs have you lost since I left the city? It doesn't seem like the Kingsguard, for all the tax dollars coming from Westerosi people, are fulfilling their job and their duty to the people that are paying them. That is all, Your Honor.
All right, enough.
Objection.
I haven't even said anything.
No.
Okay. All right, let's hear it.
As far as I know, the Kingsguard don't get paid.
Ooh.
They get lodging.
Room and board.
They get
Fancy
lodging.
art. White cloaks get washed somewhere.
As far as I know, they don't not get paid, though.
How do they afford those
I feel
mistresses?
like that is hearsay and also an entire guess with absolutely no merit or proof behind it, so it should be stricken from the record.
I also feel
It has
that
been stricken.
the actual objection was a guess and hearsay.
Right.
And that should also be stricken from the record, Your Honor.
Both of them stricken.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I say my opening arguments now, or are we just gonna? No.
I know what you do in these. I know what you do. I have watched the videos. You are to be silent or I will have the bailiff.
The bouncer?
Bouncer bailiff. That's his official name.
Bouncer bailiff. Who's the bouncer bailiff?
Okay, so
Silence.
both of these ancient orders, while I will give the Night's Watch the fact that they are more ancient, serve for life. They give up their names and their castles. Well, I mean, except for in the case of a couple of princes, there was a Targaryen and Lewin Martell. They got to still be princes, you know, even though they were all Kingsguard. So that's fun. I think the Night's Watch has to give up that. Yeah. So they do both serve for life. I understand that. They give up their titles, they give up their lands, they give up their inheritances, they can't take wives.
Hey, if you're gonna talk in my courtroom, you're gonna leave. I'm not kidding. No, what? What do you want?
Unless you're objecting, put your hand
Yeah,
down.
unless you're objecting, put your hand down.
I'm not here.
Stop hiding behind that woman.
I'm not here.
I will never get through my opening arguments.
Sorry, Tara, I think you're making a poor argument. Continue.
I got 2 sentences out of my mouth before I got interrupted 25 times. And I feel like that, in and of itself, is just showing a favoritism for someone else. The other co-counsel, the Night's Watch, what is it? Olenna.
I'm just here to make the money.
It's
Okay,
really
you have enough money. So, we both know all these simple things about the Kingsguard and the Night's Watch, but the difference is, while there have been, sadly, some failures on the Kingsguard's part recently, I will admit this. Listen, we all must admit our faults. We do get to protect the most important person, people really, because the wife and children, or husband and children possibly in the future, of the king, queen of Westeros.
Objection. The Kingsguards only serve the king, Your Honor.
Right, there's a Queen's Guard though, and it's basically the same thing, just with a different title.
Is it though? But we're talking about the King's Guard, not the Queen's Guard.
Regardless, at this current point in time, they're serving a king. There is a chance for a queen in the future, just saying. Now, that said,
Stop. No. I'll point at you then. Oh, no.
I'm never going to get through 2 sentences, I swear to God.
You got through 3.
Now, that said, the Kingsguard, again, support, God, I can talk. Now I'm all screwed up. The Kingsguard, protecting the most important person in the 7 kingdoms. Meanwhile, the Night's Watch is up there, sitting on a wall, just like watching wildlings climb over it from time to time, you know, they just kind of get to do what they want, you know, there's like so many empty castles, there's not enough, you know, Night's Watch, and they can't watch everything, which seems like kind of a bad misnomer then. They're not really watching much. They're watching Castle Black and 2 other small towers, and people get over the wall all the time. So, what really are they doing? Because I don't think snarks and grumpkins exist. There's no proof that they exist. And if that's all the Night's Watch is supposed to be doing, is protecting, well, I guess the north from the wildlings, because that's the other thing. These wildlings, they're not coming down to the south. So you can't even stop them from going over the wall and coming into the north. But in the end, they don't get far anyway. They go right back to where they came from. So, just saying, the Kingsguard protects the most important person in the Seven Kingdoms and their family, whereas the Night's Watch protects nothing.
Are you done?
Closing argument, yeah.
Okay.
Closing argument.
All right. So, I see that you're visibly upset about the comment about the snarks and grumpkins. Would you like to make a rebuttal?
I would like to rebut, Your Honor. I'll leave the very silly snarks and grumpkins comments out of this. I feel that my opponent here, my co-counselor, should at least understand that we both deal with a big part of the country and keeping it safe, right? And I'm sure that my opponent is all about the safety of not only the king, but also kind of the people, right? And that's where I have a couple questions. My first question would be to ask my counselor here beside me, when the last time you went to the North was?
Unfair, I'm just a lawyer.
Oh, interesting. 2019, 2018, interest. Anyways, my follow-up question, Your Honor, would then be, so my counselor did seem to say that everyone that goes to the Night's Watch gives up all a life of anything, their titles, luxuries, etc., to go defend the realm, where the Kingsguard seems to keep their status, seems to keep names if they're a prince, for example, in a styling that's been kind of, afforded by law, and only cares about one man. So why do we have 7 men caring about one man, and what makes that person the most important person in Westeros? Because it seems to me that the king is only as good as the people, right, in a nation. So what makes one person more important than thousands, hundreds of thousands of people in Westeros?
I mean, I'm going to put my foot in my mouth a little bit here, but you saw what happened when Robert Baratheon died. And listen.
Who let him die?
Lancel and Cersei.
I must say, Your Honor,
We were never told we had to
Kingsguard's
protect the
job
king
to
from
protect
his own family. Just saying.
But who killed Robert Baratheon?
You need to raise your hand.
Oh.
Am I not doing this right? You're doing. Thank you. You.
A Lord Commander of the Kingsguard killed Robert Baratheon.
Yes. Why? Bad man.
And I would like to ask, how was that let to happen, that a Lord Commander of the Kingsguard killed the king? Isn't that the exact opposite of what the Kingsguard swears? Because to my knowledge, the Kingsguard does take a vow, right? Could you actually, you would know this, could you repeat those vows of what the Kingsguard member would promise as a part of the Kingsguard? Out of curiosity, just out of curiosity.
Well, I can get to that in a second, because first I have to object that Barristan Selmy is not a boar. Or a flagon
He's
of
pretty
strong
boring.
wine.
I meant to say the Night's Watch.
Aha! Aha!
How dare you speak of our democracy like that? Our very fair democracy, sir.
Also, I'll be honest, other than them taking like knight's vows, I have no idea what they... Did they have vows? I didn't think they did. And I'm honestly like, yeah.
Yeah, to protect.
Oh, okay. So not...
Serve,
Yeah. It's like general, it's knight's vows, but with the added, like, we're protecting the king, right? Which is, again, they don't have to be so wordy. But also, they do have to become a knight first, and to do that, they have to, like, be on their knees
Objection.
all night, overnight, in a sept.
Sandor Clegane is not a knight.
Objection, he's no true knight.
Objection, he's the only true knight.
Oh, it's true!
Objection, Michael would say otherwise.
Objections.
Micah can't say anything.
Hey.
He didn't say objection.
No, objection.
To be fair, he didn't say
I
I heard the objection.
I wish I was a lawyer so I knew what I was doing. Judge. I
wish I was gonna say I wish I was a lawyer, and I was like, nah, no, I do not. I am just a counsel for not the people, because I'm a counsel for the
This is fun for
Kingsguard.
you this year, isn't it?
It is.
Fun mix-up.
It is.
I'm sitting really pretty right now. Are you gonna keep going?
Well, no, I said my part. Bears and Selmy isn't a board, so
Okay, so,
or flagging the strong line.
Alright, so
Blood
we talked
regular.
about Bears and Selmy. We've talked what?
Your Honor,
Yes.
I do want to say I'm all for defending character being brought up here, right? And I know Barristan Selby's not here today, obviously. But didn't he also serve and then abandon his, after he was kicked off, he did abandon to a new queen, right? Wouldn't you say, what kind of, I'm just looking for what that says about his character. I'd like to do a character assessment here. Not assassination, that was the show. But I'd like to do a character
That was a
assessment.
literal assassination.
Got him. I'd just like to assess, what does that say about the type of people that are hired in the Kingsguard?
Hired. Objection. Objection. Co-counsel is attempting to put forth the idea consistently that the Kingsguard are paid for their work. Objection.
Well, you
But
yourself.
they're not paid for their work.
I mean, you yourself also said that they get to enjoy status and luxury living under the king and serving the king and protecting the king and sometimes his family. So wouldn't you say that they actually live an elevated type of life compared to someone maybe at the Night's Watch who sleeps, in like a nice box and has to do, physical labor on the wall, repairing things, really monotonous shit. I mean, your cellmate really is not that interesting. Wouldn't you say that the Night's Watch doesn't have the same luxuries or enjoy the same luxuries, which would fiscally be beneficial to them?
Well,
I want to hear what you have to say. The Kingsguard have to put up with the king? Yeah, but they're all dead. Most of the Kingsguard.
well, let me just say that we are, the Kingsguard, are the finest knights in the Seven Kingdoms. We're not a whole lot of poachers and other words I'm not going to say right now, and thieves and et cetera, on down the line. There's a lot of words in that book that I don't want to say right now.
Now, would you say that King's Landing is incredibly populous? And would you say the South in general is incredibly populous?
Yeah.
Okay, and so with that in mind, statistically, doesn't that mean that statistically, most people that go to the Night's Watch would come then from the South? So with that in mind, with labor being expended to the wall, why would the South continue to send us only people that do not have some of these very fine skills that the Kingsguard seems to have?
Objection. This has nothing to do with the Kingsguard. We don't send anybody to the wall.
Overruled. I'm tired of hearing you guys talk. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and hear from. We're gonna go front to back. All right. And we're gonna the way it should be.
Excite you, why don't you?
Hey, I tried. You just told me to put it down. I was very excited at pointing at people.
Wow. The innuendo right now.
Don't put me up here if you don't want it. I don't want Andres.
That was your fault.
So no, you walk. Yeah, I walked in that one. You walk. Whatever. All right, so we're gonna go front to back, and then we're gonna go back to these two, and now the point. Just so I'm clear, the point is, who am I? You guys are trying to tell me which place is shittier to be in, or you're trying to tell me which knighthood is better to be in that builds
Yes.
character.
Yes, which knighthood is better?
Yes, because when you get a sword on your shoulder and maybe an oil swiped on your face, you're suddenly a knight and not a TikToker. Okay. Because it's not about character.
What does TikTok have to do with it?
Objection. Westeros uses Vine.
Story time.
God bless you, Frank.
All right, so we're gonna go front to back.
Objections first.
I need objections first.
I mean, I think it's just whoever has something to say. I think.
Yeah,
at this point.
and if
There's
you
not
guys-
enough
if you
people
guys
here
wanna-
to worry about it.
Like I said, you're swaying me. So, good old Olenna, wink wonk. I need to, I just need to hear what you guys have to say about which one is the best. Sorry, I don't want to there. Yeah?
Yes, a hand.
Okay. You mentioned that the Kingsguard are the finest knights in Westeros. Does that apply to character? And if so, can you explain the presence of at least 3 known rapists and child killers on the current King's Guard?
Oh,
Objection.
I would agree to that.
You can name them if you like.
You don't need to.
I
But I also did not place them there. That was Robert Baratheon, and honestly, I think we can blame a whole lot of stuff that's going on, not just in the King's Guard, but in the Seven Kingdoms, on Robert Baratheon right now.
Objection.
Also, historically, yes, they are the finest knights in the Seven Kingdoms.
Sustained.
King Common placed at least one on there.
I'm sorry?
King Common placed at least
Now,
one.
that's my grandson-in-law. You talk nice about that kid.
That boy.
That boy, that young, innocent child with his kitty cats.
I'm not implying that he knew.
might poison you.
What's
I mean-
that gonna do?
Honestly, objection, it was Qyburn and Cersei that did that.
Oh, so objection. So you're saying that actually the King's Guard is not controlled by the king, and that the King's Guard and their character values and what they say they stand for is not actually true? Because that to me says that it's not the king or his good meeting council. Oh, Maester Qyburn, you know, the one that learned from Marwyn.
Objection!
Overruled.
Judge favors, clearly favors.
Objection! I never!
Bring in the dancing lobsters. Y'all who are quite a bit older than us two probably don't get that.
That's a real millennial joke.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Real
Yeah.
90s hours.
Judge Trudy. All right. So okay. So we've got this here. Yes, in the green
I
hat.
think if we're speaking to legitimacy, the King's Guard is just appointed by anyone. There's really no qualifications other than like having a penis, apparently. And the king in Night's Watch, they do like onboarding and training before they do the oath, and I think that might speak to maybe the legitimacy of the Night's Watch.
Well, right, of course they have to do onboarding and training because there are a whole bunch of like nobodies from nowhere who have no experience in anything for the most part these days. Whereas the King's Guard, again, finest knights in the Seven Kingdoms.
Hey, you. One
I did
more
not hear
outburst
that.
and you're out of the courtroom.
My uncle!
Your nuncle.
You know, I would argue against that. I would, Your Honor, because that's very frustrating. Because just because the resources weren't available to people, just because they weren't born into a family where those resources were readily available for them to learn the sword, for them to learn stewardship, diplomacy, how is that fair when you have some people, many people in the King's Guard? If you want to look at a percentage, I'd say it's probably a good 30 to 60% of the King's Guard of all historical time comes from a landed noble house. So, yeah, you hold that.
So you're
In
telling
the
me.
Night's Watch.
We accept anyone. We don't just look for that favor to please a noble house to give them a little back pat. We're willing to train, to raise up and train and have people join together to feel like they have done something as a team, as a group, and help the nation.
Now, if I am correct, and I think I am,
I'm sure you do.
lots of criminals are sent to the wall, correct?
Sure.
To become Night's Watchmen.
Yes. And it seems that you
And-
might be implying that rehabilitation is not good.
And, hang on a moment, I'm not done speaking.
I apologize, Your Honor.
Thank you. Horrible, terrible, awful, bad people are put into the King's Guard. Yes.
Objection. Again,
That's
you
not an
with the
objection.
that is an opinion, not that is an opinion.
Opinion of the people, clearly.
It's an opinion of one person. Listen. Let me give me a second to go back in time. 3 years.
Oh, good.
3 years. 3 years ago from now at Ice and FireCon 2019.
Don't you do this to me right now.
What was it?
3 years ago.
Who won? Who prevailed in that trial? Oh yes!
Objection,
Oh
Your
yes!
Honor.
It was Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. Sir Duncan the Tall came from nothing, rose to the King's Guard. Point stands.
So that's the first knight you've named. That's a true one. You want to go on?
Just curious.
Interesting, really? I mean, I also named Barristan Selmy, who I do believe, despite your comments about him being summarily removed from the King's Guard, so that Joffrey could just make a spot for his dog.
How dare you?
That took a lot from me too.
Silence.
I would also say, you know, that saying that Jaime Lannister isn't a knight is kind of based on the public opinion of people who do not know what actually happened and why he did what he did.
Oh, he's a knight. It's just that the word knight means nothing now.
Your Honor, which organization has the finest knight in the entire land who happens to be your grandson?
She's an impartial judge.
Honestly, I haven't read the book, so I don't know.
Objection! The judge knows nothing about this. He should clearly not have opinions on the Night's Watch being better.
Objection, then she shouldn't be the judge. It seems like there
Pick
might
the dumbest one to put up here, y'all. They picked the dumbest one.
Which leads me to wonder about the actual intentions of this court.
It's Westeros, so if nepotism doesn't win, then...
I told you to raise your hand. Do we have anybody in the back? Back. Yes.
We in the courtroom are the people of Westeros,
Yes,
correct?
you are.
Yes.
We have the knowledge of the people in Westeros, correct? So why do we need the Night's Watch?
I would like to push that back to you and say, why don't you need the Night's Watch?
Objection! You can't answer a question with a question. Leading the witnesses.
Yes.
So if the King's Guard guards the king, is the Night's Watch job to watch the night?
It guards the night.
The actual night.
The actual night.
I wish we watched the nights. We might actually get something done. Did I mention
We like democracy-ish?
ish? No one can prove it was a bad election.
I would like to put forth an objection to Barristan Sully being a good human being.
Is that a good night?
Even that, who stood by while Aerys beat his wife and raped her on the night and said, "We defend the king, not from the queen. We defend the queen, but not from her king."
Objection, that's Hightower, not Selmy.
Salmi still stood by and let it happen.
Stipulated.
Actual lawyer in the house.
There we go. I appreciate that. No, I don't think it's fair to judge the entire Kingsguard by only Barristan Selmy's actions, nor Gerald Hightower's actions. That's not fair to judge a whole organization, just as we wouldn't want to be judged by one or two of our bad apples that came from King's Landing, where the Night's Watch, doesn't have jurisdiction, but the Kingsguard does. Interesting how that works, and interesting that you only send us rapists, thieves from your land. Anyway, so glossing over all of that, where people come from, which is what you send us. Why does the Kingsguard need to have 7 people when 7 people still aren't effective for the king? I think it's a waste of resources. I'm so sorry, I love you so much.
Listen, I gave you this one. You know I
did
did.
deserve it. Let's be real. 2 years of the defense attorney, screw you. I had to defend Game of Thrones. Leave me alone.
The show.
I've lived a really long life.
Really, I just wanted to wear white.
That was literally in our chat. I think I'm gonna be wearing white, so I'm gonna do the King's Guard.
Seriously, if I make Chloe being a defense attorney one more year, she's gonna quit.
We'll never have another mock trial. Okay. Anyway, now that we've gone down that
now we've broken the
path,
fourth wall.
Yeah.
Because we didn't break it before that.
No. I don't even remember where we were.
Arguing mostly.
Yeah. I mean that's the point, right?
Entertaining the Westeros.
Yeah. This is the people's court. It is supposed to be ridiculous.
Wasted resources.
Yes,
Wasted resources.
7 men guarding one.
Speaking of wasted resources, what again is the Night's Watch being given all this food and lodging and weaponry and armor and, you know, whatever the hell else they're given.
How much weaponry and armor do we have? Would you like to tell me? I'd really love to hear it from you. I think that you seem to have so much knowledge about the Night's Watch for
You
never
have
being in
one-
the North ever once
You
in your
have
life.
one dude that just makes armor for people on the Night's Watch. Just one guy, right?
Man,
Yeah, one whole guy.
gazillion people.
There's the, oh my god, a gazillion people. They can't, dude, they can't find, you can't, the other thing is the Night's Watch, they can't beg people to enter the Night's Watch.
Sorry, how many armors are in King's Landing and how many attend the King's Guard? I'm curious. It's just a curiosity.
I think that's kind of like not the point because the armorers
Why
in
isn't
King's
it?
Landing don't have anything to do with the King's Guard. They don't serve the King's Guard.
Well, who makes their armor?
Someone. Some guy.
So wait, sorry, so you're arguing about my armor servicing 50 to 500 men, depending who's left after the many attacks we've had to fend off on our own with no support from the crown. But so you actually
Objection!
No.
The King's Guard has nothing to do with the Night's Watch receiving
Silence!
support.
I will take this out and I will whip it. Whip it good.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, I did lose my place, but I think I was saying something about blah, 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 capitalism. You guys are a big proponent of keeping the system going, blah, 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 blah. You're literally a rot in capitalism in Westeros, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. You can fill in the words. I mean, I think you already heard them a few times, but that's all.
Listen.
No.
Listen.
This is good. This is really romantic of us.
You guys have to kiss at the end.
Not in post-COVID world. I feel that the court is stacked against
Oh.
my defense. Particularly because the judge herself does not even recall that her grandson, her beloved grandson, Loras Tyrell, serves on the King's Guard.
Objection! She should be an impartial judge and she's doing a great job at it.
Yeah. Thank you.
I mean, that's what being
I object to the idea that this is impartial judgment.
I really don't know which way to go. This is just hysterical. You guys have to argue for.
We have 9 more minutes.
Oh, 9 more minutes. We can take some objections in that time.
More objections.
Objections?
Queen Allison gave the Night's Watch the gift, but I can't remember what they ever did with it.
Actually, Lord Stark is working with the Night's Watch to settle that. Unfortunately, he was killed in King's Landing.
An objection! Who is he settling that with?
I apologize. Could I continue, Your Honor?
Overruled.
Thank you. Ned Stark, Lord Ned Stark of Winterfell, was hoping to resettle that. That was his hope. However, he did go south to help the king, something that I'm sure my co-counselor knows a lot about, helping the king. You know, that's the whole job of the King's Guard. Oh, he died! That's right, Robert died. And then Ned died, too, right, as he tried to defend Robert's heirs. Capital H, heirs. Just want to make sure everyone knows. Robert's heirs.
Objection! The King's Guard has no
One more outburst like that, and I'm sending you to
reason to protect Ned Stark.
No, but it's interesting because earlier on in this, you did actually mention that he does defend the immediate family and those close to the king. So I'm sorry, do King's Guard not protect the king and the king's interests? Because Ned Stark seemed to be in the king's interest. He did ask Ned to go south adamantly, I would say.
I think it depends which moment you ask Robert Baratheon.
Objection.
Yes.
Was it not a member of the King's Guard that attacked my husband?
In the streets of King's Landing. That is a great point.
Did we not kill an innocent man?
Objection!
Overruled. No, I'm just kidding. Go
Ned
ahead.
Stark kidnapped that King's Guard member's brother.
When? When he was in the Erie? What, 30 years ago?
Objection, Your Honor.
That's a little kidnapping between friends. I don't know who it was. Who was it that he kidnapped? Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. That's horrible. I love you. Kidnap anybody. I was just making stuff. Oh, I'm sorry. We're just being mean to each other. That's what we It's not real, Becca.
It's contour play. That was the quiet part out loud. That was the subtext. Was Ned Stark as a guest in King's Landing not under the King's protection? Do the King's Guard not uphold the King's protection?
Well, what happens when the king dies?
I don't know.
I'm just asking.
What sort of SOPs, what sort of standard operating procedures do the Night's Watch have? The Night's Watch, wow. Ooh, 2 drinks really went fast. Do the King's Guard have, you guys? Like, what is that in the jurisdiction? Wait, what standard operating procedures do the King's Guard have established for when a king dies? I feel like they should by now. They've had enough kings die on their watch that they should have SOPs to fix this and define these kind of problem areas to better expedite their process and to honestly be able to lean manufacture in the city.
I'm sorry, what is manufacture? I do not,
It's a
we do not use this dialect in King's Landing or anywhere in Westeros
You produce
or anywhere in
content.
Thanatos.
The King's Guard produces excellent content, and that content is supposed to be protecting the king and the king's interests.
I'm sorry, you did say the King's Guard produces excellent content?
Yeah, great content, really good, because if I don't say that, they won't give me resources so the Night's Watch can eat!
Objection! Yet again, the King's Guard does not provide the Night's Watch resources or have anything to do with
Their
it.
boss does! They have a direct line to the king.
Yes.
Okay, so the Night Guard is charged with
Off the rails! Off the rails!
protecting the realms of men. What about all the the Night's Watch didn't protect all the realms of men before a certain Lord Commander? Why does the Night's Watch fight the wildlings?
That is something that honestly I will say our management has been working at. Listen, it has been an uphill battle. I want you to know that. Just like the institutions and establishments that surround the King's Guard from apparently doing their job, the Night's Watch also has some of that they have to do with, right? And unfortunately, because we report to a very absent king, pick one. It could be any of them. Because we report to an absent king in the end, our real bosses come from protecting the realm. It is frustrating because we should not be fighting the free folk. They are fellow man. They are protecting the realms of men, right, with us in the end. They are just men. They're humans. And I really didn't want to use this because I thought it was just a horrible, unfair thing to use because obviously...
Pre-objection!
Let her speak.
As our King's Guard representation has mentioned, you know, they've never been north, they don't see it, and those who have never visited north may not know, but there are scarier things in the woods. There are scarier things out there, dead things in the water, dead things in the woods. When we say we protect the realms of Ben, we're protecting from mysteries that would disrupt the realms of Ben. You know QAnon. You know that shit. Imagine if we started saying there were ice zombies everywhere. Do you think that I can just start saying ice zombies and anyone will understand what a pressure point, just a pressure cooker of frustration it is for our men because no one will believe it. There are ice zombies is what I'm telling you.
Objection!
And I've waited like 45 minutes to say it, so I feel like that deserves something.
Objection! The ice zombies are a new problem
No.
that may or may not exist.
No. I have Google right
And
here.
prior to the current Night's Watch crew experiencing some things that they're claiming they experienced but have sent no proof because, you know, all we got was like a dried up withered hand in a jar or something. That didn't move, didn't show us anything. Prior to this, they never said anything about dead things in the woods or in the water. And I feel like this is a story that they've come up with in their time of need. And I also, again, don't think the King's Guard has anything to do with whether or not they receive help for this problem that supposedly exists, but has no proof of existing that we have seen in the South.
Objection! You don't see us saying that, you guys don't have a problem with murdering your own kings. So leave us alone with our ice zombies.
Because you have for hundreds of years.
Objection, nobody murdered the king except for, I'm sorry, who was it? Jaime Lannister, who...
Oh, the Lord Commander! Oh,
Not by choice, but also...
Okay.
But also, when we're talking about protecting the people of Westeros, Jaime Lannister did the one thing he wasn't supposed to do in order to protect...
Objection, that's
all of
speculation, Your
his
Honor.
living.
Objection, that is speculation. Speculation.
Do you have anything else?
Speculation...
Kingsguard suck.
Yeah, it is closing arguments.
Yes.
Right?
Okay, so closing arguments, and then I'll make my ruling, because this is all over the place. Good job.
That'd be a good rule.
Well, do you go first or do I this?
I went first last time, it's your turn.
Doesn't seem fair.
I know.
The court is stacked against the Kingsguard. I understand that there have been some problems recently. We can't really help the people that Robert Baratheon foisted upon us. I refuse to speak of the most recent...
Objection! You fired Barristan Selmy!
Again, we did not fire Barristan Selmy. That was Joffrey Baratheon.
So you agree, you hate your bosses?
Cunt of his name. Listen, that's the point though, isn't it? You might dislike the person that you're sworn to protect, but you kind of got to protect them if you want the country to not, fall into any deeper shit than it already has, which honestly, listen, we get that it's a mess out there, but we protect the person in King's Landing who is doing his best, with the exception of literally the past 3 kings, to make sure this country doesn't fall into further disrepair. Meanwhile, up in the north, on their wall, the Night's Watch is letting wildlings in, just willy-nilly now. Just welcome everywhere, apparently. I didn't think this was...
You defended them like 4 minutes ago.
Overruled. Let
I did not
the
defend
council finish their closing
we love
statement.
violence.
Let the council finish their closing
Yes, Your
statement.
Honor.
Thank you.
I feel like you're putting somebody else's words in my mouth.
Words in your mouth.
Anyway, you're letting wildlings in willy-nilly, but does that really even matter? Because, let's be real, they were climbing that wall and getting past you constantly before that anyway. There are no Snarks and Grumpkins. There is no proof that we have seen of these dead things beyond the wall, in the water, in the woods, whatever. No proof at all. Just the words of some very desperate men who, to be honest, have been desperate their whole lives. And it's very sad. It's very sad that somebody would be forced to be in the Night's Watch or to defend the Night's Watch in the court of law.
So you agree it is a privilege to be a Kingsguard?
Sorry, I had a really big
Being
cough.
a privilege to be in the Kingsguard does not necessarily mean that all Kingsguard members have been privileged. I mean, I could absolutely go into, Warner Johnson, who, Waymar Royce, no, yeah, oh my God.
All right, that's enough.
Am I blaying him? Am I messing up his name? The Royce, who was the guy in the prologue.
Yeah, that's weird.
Thank you. Just that. So yes, it is a privilege to be in the Kingsguard. That does not necessarily say that all Kingsguard began as privileged. And on top of that, it's not like you guys are starving. So you're still sitting up there in your wools and your castles with your food. Just That's all I have. That's all I have on Thursday night.
Go ahead. Plaintiff?
While my co-counselor prefers to lead with something a little bit, doesn't really corroborate their past questions of why we kill the free folk, but yet why are the free folk climbing over the wall trying to escape something, glossing over that, I would like to read to you all some words. I think these words could do more than, some empty, hollow words, as you may have heard from my co-counselor. Night gathers. Now my watch begins. It shall not end until my death. I shall take no wife. Shut up, John. Hold no lands. Shut up, Sam. Father no children. I shall wear no crowns, win no glory. I shall die, live at my post. I'm the watcher on the walls, and the fire that burns against the cold, the light that brings the dawn, the horn that wakes the sleepers, the shield that guards the realms of men. I pledge my life and honor to the Night's Watch for this night and all the nights to come. We may not seem in our perfectly pristine white armor and our scales that are glazed with bronze or gold or silver. We may not seem something specialty. We may have people that are recovering and rehabilitating from crime that they once committed in a past life, and now here they are trying to build something better in a brotherhood, a positive brotherhood where, while we do not enforce friendships between them, many grow positively. People learn to actually become brave, right? To keep on walking in the snow and to just keep moving. They become brave and find courage in their brothers, in the people they meet in the north, and the ways that they protect the realm. While we may have our different styles, the Night's Watch and the King's Guard, in the Night's Watch, at the end of the day, in the blistering cold, when we go back to our cells, we feel like we accomplished something. It might not mean anything, because nothing does in the end, we all die, but we still accomplished something, and we build towards something. We protect the wall. And to us, that means something, and we've protected the wall, because as my co-counselor said, they don't know anything about free folk or ice zombies. Guess we're doing our job then.
I will take approximately 2 seconds to deliberate on my decision. I rule in favor of the Night's Watch.
Objection! The court was stacked against us!
Get her out of here! Give her the hook! Give her the hook!
I actually do really need to get out of here.
Thank you guys so much for hanging out.
Yes,
Stick
thank
around
you.
later.
Yeah.
David Peterson will be in this room, right? Right
Yes.
here at 9 p.m.?
Yes.
9 p.m. Come back and listen to David J. Peterson Q&A. Ask him all your burning questions. Oh, Valyrian Steel is at 8 p.m. So stick around if you want to talk about swords and Valyrian Steel, all the fun stuff.